Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter, folks. Game one of the books, and a memorable one with Tyrese Haliburton hitting a shot for the Indiana Pacers to put them up 111-110 with zero point 0.3 seconds remaining, and it was the first lead the Pacers had the whole game and the only lead that they needed. Uncle Dave, your assessments of the game that we saw the other night for the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like I said, incredible stat right there that the Pacers trailed the whole game except in the last zero point 0.3 seconds when it mattered the most.
Yeah, the only time it matters. Great game. I enjoyed it. It's a statistical anomaly, this game. I think that there's some coaching decisions you could challenge, both especially changing your starting lineup before the NBA Finals. I know you're trying to be cute, but we'll
That's a
talk about
risk.
that in a minute.
Oh, yeah, it's a risk and a gamble right there. That was
Never,
definitely an eyebrow raiser. You usually do not see that in the middle, in beginning to start a series, especially.
well, and the funny thing is, if Tibbs did that, he'd be hung in New York right now. And this guy, no one said a word about it.
Yeah,
So I'd listen to this stuff and read it all day long, and no one's criticized him. I know he's a great coach. He's done a great job there over the years, but that's a strange move, especially when you consider you got your ass handed to you on the backboard. So, and everybody says, well, Chet played a bad game. Well, why'd Chet only play 20 minutes? Yeah, 2 for 9. There's other ways he can help you. He can shot block, he can rebound, he can dive to the basket and against the zone.
that's the thing with him
They
that we kind of talked about. I need more than 6 rebounds from him and one block shot. I
Yeah,
need a
but
little
then
more
again,
there.
he,
Yep.
he plays 20 minutes. So in
Yeah.
20 minutes, he's a bench player. Why is
Yeah.
Chet Holmgren playing bench minutes? I'm a little confused by that, especially when you change your starting lineup, like I said, and Hartenstein, who had a good night, really didn't get to play enough in my book.
Yeah, I think Holmgren, you worry if you're a Thunder fan, either the moment too big for him or is he just not kind of what you drafted him at? He's just not that player, what you envisioned him to be. He
Yeah, but
kind
look
of
at this. Hartenstein plays 17 minutes, goes 3 for 5 from the floor with 9 rebounds.
right,
Whose fault is that? No,
right.
I'm sorry. Whose
He has
fault
the
is
better,
that?
yeah, he has the better game. Yeah,
Holy shit! But he plays 17 minutes.
yeah. Coach Daganol fault right there for sure.
I mean, shit.
Yeah.
He wasn't in foul trouble.
No, he only had
I
two
mean, shit.
fouls. Yeah,
This guy, I'm sorry. That's a bad move. We told you. We said all series long, not all series, but all playoff long, that this team was thin on the baseline. You don't want to get thinner.
yeah.
We talked about that, and yet the Pacers are probably in shock because all of a sudden the Pacers, who've been out rebounded pretty much all playoff long,
Or not now.
look like the 83 Sixers on the
Uncle
backboard.
Dave, the rebounding difference is 56 to 39. You can't win a game when you get rebounded by that much.
And the funny thing is, like we said, the Pacers have been the sisters of the poor on the backboard
Right.
all
Yeah, they
playoff
have been.
long.
They've been outboarded every series, right?
So you took a team that has a weakness and you made it a strength for a
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, they got to be feeling really fucking good, right?
And here's the funny part. You get 20, you get 16 more shots, you get 3 more free throws, and you get 25 turnovers for the other team, and you lose that game. That's a statistical anomaly.
It
I mean,
is.
I don't know who you could look up to find that out, but here's the key stat, though. Only 11 points off those 25 turnovers. And
Yeah.
that is an NBA Finals record, 20 turnovers and a half.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean,
Incredible.
what to me does not make any sense is the Pacers have 24 turnovers to the Thunder's 6. How do you win a
Yep.
game like that?
Yeah, yeah,
Makes no
20. Yeah.
sense. I mean, if you're the Thunder, you're like, how the hell do you lose that game when you have the turnover difference? I mean, I understand you get out rebounded by 17, but when the other team has 18 more turnovers, then you think, all right, well, we have to win that one right there because you have transition points out of that.
Then here's your answer. And I hate to say it. That's why we're the show you should be listening to. What's the one weakness I've told you about this Thunder team that everybody just blew and praised for weeks? They're not great shooting team. They
Yes.
shoot 39% for the game. Uh,
37 from three, 11 to 30. Yep.
yep. Pacers shoot 47.6, which isn't great for them, but the Pacers are the better shooting team here. That's why I
They are.
said to you, it's great to run up and down with the Pacers, but the Pacers will run up and down and hit shots. If you run up and down and you don't get layups if you're the Thunder, and they didn't, this is what happens.
Yeah. I know you said
So
before the
again,
series you thought
I'm
on
not
our
far off. We
assessment.
talked about this.
Yeah, you're like the Thunder. If they don't get enough easy baskets, they're not going to win.
Yeah, and they didn't turn those turnovers. Here's the funny thing: they had 14 steals. They usually a steal. Many of them are easy baskets, but this wasn't. Incredible situation there. Just a statistical anomaly. But again, Yeah, early in the first half, I thought OKC was getting good offensive rebounds, but to make the Pacers a better rebounding team, 56 to this game is so messed up. But again, shooting is the great equalizer.
I
We've
think that's
talked
why
about this for years.
game two is going to be fascinating to see what happens because you're not going to have a 24-6 turnover differential and probably not a
No,
59-36 rebound differential, right? So I mean, we're
sure.
going to be very curious to see what happens there. But the Thunder, I thought for a lot of the game they had control of it. They weren't up big ever, but it felt like it was, they were in control. They were up 60, 61 to 50 at one point. It felt like they just kind of were controlling the game. And then all of a sudden, Indiana just in the fourth quarter there just really closes the gap, and
Yeah.
Haliburton obviously tops it off.
A word to the wise, though. We've seen many favorites lose game one and win the series four
Yeah,
games
of
to one.
course. Yep, yep.
We've seen it with the 91 Bulls. We've seen it with the 01 Lakers. I mean, Allen Iverson and the boys beat them, but then the Lakers kicked the crap out of them the rest of the way. So it happens. It happens more than you think. So just to
Dallas lost game one against the Heat too in 2011.
exactly. But well, he were even favored, so everybody thought that was going to be a walk. But this is a situation where I just couldn't believe the disrespect the Pacers were getting. When again we talked about this since January and their health, they have about five less games record than the Thunder. And again, I still say this, and I'll say it again. The Western Conference at the top is not good. The Lakers sucked, and they have the freaking three seed, I think, or the two seed. They suck. All right, they got two players who are fat and out of shape, can't guard a goddamn guy. And you got guys who can't play a lick, got no rim protection. I got a coach who didn't know what the hell he was doing. You tell me how that team's a high seed. It's disgusting.
We
That
also,
team's not as good as the Knicks or the Pacers.
we
And those
also
are the three and the four seed.
Yeah, we talked about before how Indiana is not a great half-court offensive team. You think if you're the Thunder, I know they like to get out and run and play fast, but you would think maybe a half-court game would be more suited for them, favor matchup-wise in this
But
series.
here's your problem. When you do that, it's a subtle message to your team. When you change what
We're
you
not as
do
good, right? We're
every
not,
day,
right. Yeah,
it's
I
like
agree.
when people said the Pacers shouldn't run the other night in the broadcast. And Doris Burke the other night, horrible broadcast. I mean, talking about how Nemhart is doing a great job with about a minute left and a half, picking up full court and fouls a guy and sends him to the line for two shots. That's not a
Right,
great job. It's stupid.
right. Yeah, you get
But this game, the one thing I will say, the subtlety in the last 3 minutes of this game was every time they isolated Shea, they ran two guys at him, except for Shea's last shot. I was surprised they didn't run two guys at him again. He shot it long
got a good, yeah. He had a good look
got a
too.
good look. It's one of Shea's looks, but they ran two guys and they made other people beat him. And we've talked about this before. Jalen Williams is a coin flip on the J. We've talked about this a lot. He's just not that kind of shooter. He's a guy that
And the funny thing
you
is, Lou
know,
Dort, the guy that we were kind of questioning about, he actually shot well. He was 5 of
yes, he
10.
did. And that's the thing. Is Lou Dort going to give you that again? He's
No, he's
definitely
not.
not.
He's not going to give you that next game exactly.
So here we talk about the flip flops. You can say this for most games you play in life as a coach. You can even maybe find one thing like this. So on the plus side for the Pacers, you say, well, there's no way Lou's going to hit five threes again. Fair
No way.
enough. There's no way we're going to turn the ball over 25 times. Fair enough. But for the positive side, on the other thing, well, are we only going to get 10 points off of turnovers? Probably not. Are we going to get out rebounded by 16, 17? Well, if we go small again, we might. Are we only going to shoot 39%? Well, this has been a concern for them. They haven't been a great shooting team all year. The guy that played well, I hate to say it, but Wallace played pretty well. He's only 3 for 9, but did some good things on defense. 6 for 19 from Jalen Williams. That's just not going to do it for you.
Yeah, he needs to
Three
play
for eight
better.
from Caruso. Not enough shots for Caruso. Hartenstein, and I'm just telling you, Wiggins wasn't bad. Hartenstein just did not get enough shots, and either did Chet. So you got Chet, 2 for 9. You can say all you want,
The
but
Thunder bench
he
was fine. That wasn't the problem. It was Jalen Williams
right.
didn't have a good shooting night, and Shea did what he normally does. I
Sure,
think
Shea was good.
Jalen Williams. I think that's the guy you look at. You're like, it just did, and the getting out rebounded. That was the
Well,
two
we
things.
talked about this. The two guys you got to match up to in that zone is Alex Caruso. We said this, and Jalen Williams. Now they both went 1 for 4 from three.
Right.
And this is why I still can't believe Indiana didn't play more zone. They had a couple of possessions of it there, but I expect to see more of it. But maybe he's saving that for a rainy day because they both went 1 for 4 from three. And if you and you can see we talked about this. We said last week, that's why we're the best. He said last week we're going to leave Lou Dort wide open. We said it. They did it. They went 5 for 9 from three. And the strategy didn't work, and yet they still won the game.
Who won the game, right? And if you're
But
Indiana,
here
you're
we
like,
are.
we dare
Yeah,
you to do that again tomorrow night. Yeah.
right. And you dare him to do that because if he's not hitting, the
It
Thunder will
really
feel
screwed.
so much pressure to get him off the floor. And then you
Right.
take away their best
Yeah, great
defender.
defender, right? What's staggering to me, even more than Jalen Williams, at least he was aggressive. Chet
Yep.
Holmgren, 6 points. You cannot get, he needs to play way better than that. He needs
Yes,
to
he
get at
does.
least 15, 16 points. If he gives you six, I don't give a fuck what Gilgeous Alexander does. Even if he scores
Right.
38 like he did, if Chet
Right.
gives you six and Wallace, you have two starters giving you 6 points. You can't live with that.
This game was bizarre in that Neesmith was so aggressive all of a sudden. Again, the Knicks series he didn't do shit till game six, but he was so aggressive. He hit one Steph Curry step back, which I thought was the play of the night because he usually doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam, Mr. Steady. Miles Turner, Mr. Steady.
How about Pascal
Uh,
with 3 steals too? Siakam. I mean, unbelievable. He just
Neesmith, solid. They shot the ball well from three, and that's a big difference. 18 for 39 from three is very impressive. Mathurin was scratchy. It's funny. They had some guys play like crap but shoot well. So Obi Toppin played like crap but shot well.
I think he
So
hit
he hits
maybe the
five
biggest. I think he
threes.
hit one of the biggest shots of the night, maybe the
He
biggest.
did.
They're down 96-82, and he drills a three with 9 minutes left. That
Yep.
right there kept because you
Yep.
figure that's a situation right there. If you don't cut that to 11, let's say they get a stop there, the Thunder, and then they get another bucket, then you're down 18 with
Yep.
about 8:45 left. It feels like a totally different game there versus 11. So
TJ McConnell was solid. He only had one turnover tonight, which has been good. But Obi Toppin, three turnovers, twice left his feet and just threw the shit all over the place. Miles Turner with six turnovers is surprising because Miles used to do that, but he kept bringing the ball below his nuts. And when you do that, the little guys get it. Shepard gave you 9 good minutes, but Obi Toppin shot well, but did everything else poorly. He did have 5 rebounds, but Obi was had a real streaky game. I give Lick Carlisle credit. First 2 minutes, Obi was out there the other night. At the end of the first, he was awful.
yeah,
Twice he went baseline on the left baseline, the far side of the screen, and just threw the shit to the middle of the court. One time it went all the way to the back. And one time he got the team just picked it off. So
yeah,
he
yeah.
was awful, but then he hit a shot, and all of a sudden he went 5 for 8 from three. You can't expect that from him again. But at the same time, 17 points from Obi again, six guys in double figures for the Pacers, and that's the secret to the poison. I mean, they get four for the Thunder, six for the Pacers. But again, like just some bizarre statistics.
That's why I called them. They're like the Marabunta team. Like I said,
They are.
they devour you by just one of many. And TJ McConnell had 9, so he's one away from
Yep.
having a double
Yep.
figure.
Well, TJ's been shooting well in the playoffs, but he's had
Yeah,
streaks where he comes in and turns it over twice.
yeah.
He had
He had
three
three.
assists, one turnover.
Yeah, he had three. He had three
But
more
here's the
turnovers there, I
problem:
think, too.
you only get 13 assists the whole game for the Thunder.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
bizarre.
problem. Yeah, you
When
can't
you
have
score
that.
110 points, you're going to get more than 13 assists just by default. So again, that shows you that Shea had to do a lot. And if you remember, game three against the Nugs, they struggled. Now, the Nuggets, I don't think right now are a great defensive team, but if you remember in game three, at the end, they stood around and watched Shea play. Tonight, they didn't do that because what the Pacers started to do is let other guys shoot. Now, Shea does get 30 shots. Like, some people are critical that that's a lot of shots for
Oh,
him, but nope.
He went 14 of 30. You got to let him do it. He shot it.
Exactly. Plus, but he
Yeah,
usually doesn't shoot 30, but at the same time, if no one else is going, he's got to go. So I
he's got
give
to do
Shea
it.
credit.
Yep.
I give Shea credit for being like,
No, he wasn't the reason they lost. He only had two
no,
turnovers too with the high usage rate, so I don't blame him
right,
at all. It's not
right.
his
He was
problem.
excellent.
Yeah,
And I like the fact that, and again, nobody played 40 minutes for the Thunder. I respect that. But how the hell does Hartenstein play 17 minutes? And
he's got to play more.
I can't believe we've just given a pass to Coach. Now I love Coach Dagnall, but it just goes to show you, kids, the narratives out there in sport. Like I said, they did a actual minute study of Thibodeau with the narrative that he runs his players into the ground, showed that he hadn't done it. NBA radio did it, and it's just incredible. They read it off one day, and I wish I taped it, but there's always narratives out there, and so nobody says shit about this guy. He plays 17 guys, 17 minutes for Hartenstein, 20 for Chet, and they get the shit kicked out of them on the boards by a team that doesn't do that.
Well, the
So
thing is, you went into
where's
the
that
series
narrative?
saying that they were vulnerable on the front line with Thunder, and it's
We've, we've,
proven
hey,
true.
we've talked about it for 4 weeks.
Yeah, the whole playoff, we've said that's their
Oh my
weakness.
God. And we said if the T-Wolves could ever find a way to get that game
Exactly.
to the baseline, they'd
Exactly.
win.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look what the Nuggets, I swear to God, they have not played a good team yet, the Thunder. Even with all that, they're still up 15, 94 to 79. So again, all that the Celtics did wrong versus the Knicks the first two games, they were still up 20. All that the Knicks did wrong is against the Pacers in game one. They're still up 14 with 2:35 left. So here we are again, and Haliburton's having an all-time great run. And you got 4 game winners.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just goes to show you. Many years ago, the baseball players said Derek Jeter was the most overrated guy. It comes down to who they don't like. It's like voting for prom king and queen. It's bullshit.
Right.
This guy is not liked because he's going to tell you, but I'll tell you what, he's a burglar. This guy will break into your house and steal your shit. That's how good this guy is. He does not care.
What I like about Haliburton, he's almost got such a goofy personality. Any type of like criticism or guys challenging him, it's like water off a duck's back. He just doesn't feel it. You know,
He's the burglar. He's the guy we always talk about. He's the guy. You gotta have, hey, my old bosses in college, I go recruiting, say, Dave, find us a couple of killers. That's exactly the words they would say to me. Davey, find us some killers. Those exactly the words they would say. They wouldn't go say, find me the nice guy. They say, find me some killers.
Yeah.
And that was the actual word they would use. And so he's a murderer. This guy has got iron balls.
Yeah, he does.
Iron balls.
He does, yeah. No, that's
you don't have to like him.
Vinny
Vinny Johnson wasn't as good a player as Haliburton, but Vinny Johnson back for the old Pistons had iron balls. There was no shot that he feared. Never.
Right.
He never feared a shot.
The thing is, what stands out too is the Pacers have 3 guys in double-figure rebounds, and Miles Turner was one away from having 10 rebounds. So their front court, I mean, their starting unit just rebounding wise just was incredible.
And they're not a good rebounding team.
And Haliburton only had 3 turnovers. Again, a guy who has the ball a lot. It's funny, he could have some games where he shoots only 13 shots. Like, yeah, there's other times where he can shoot 25 plus and go for 40. So I like how he just kind of plays, you know, within himself there. And then he has, I think, a good pace to how he plays as well. So I really enjoy watching him play. I think he's been fantastic. Like I said, if he wins against this team that's an underdog, what were the Pacers coming into this playoff? Or were they a 4 seed or something like that? I mean,
Yep.
You totally look at him in a different light. Like I said, if he wins, and like I said, Coach Carlisle getting his second ring.
We talked about 2 things. One, seeding doesn't matter as much anymore because teams don't play during the regular season.
Right.
And 2, this is why coaching is an impossible thing to please people. Because at the end of a game, if something's not working for you that's been working all year, if you don't change, you get criticized. So this guy, I think, changed too quick. And this is why coaching sucks. This guy starts a different lineup and gets his ass kicked on the boards, and he gave in before it was bad. That's what I don't like about it. He gave up on his shit.
It reeks of desperation a little bit, right? Yeah, it reeks of a little bit. Like you feel.
Everybody thinks that's clever. I don't think it's clever at all. It shows me if I'm a pacer that you got a problem. And with all that, they're up 15.
Yeah, I mean, and then you look at some.
So which one is it? Is it that your shit was so bad? But you can't say that. They're up 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was awful. You got killed on the board. So all of a sudden, and here's the problem with the fans. So if he misses that shot and they win 110, 109, no one says crap about this stuff.
They don't. They would say.
And the problem with the coach is he goes back to the room and he still sees the same shit, win or loss.
Right.
The players don't see that. Players go, I won. I'm getting a steak. I'm going to sleep.
Right.
Coach gets a steak, throws it up later, has a couple of cocktails, and stares at the screen for 40 minutes.
Right. Like you said, with the coaches, nothing changes for them whether that shot goes in or not. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. You feel better.
Yeah.
And the world thinks you're wonderful as opposed to being dog shit. And again, I say it all the time. Biggest example of that's Bill Parcells. Scott Norwood's kick is 3 feet to the left.
Yeah.
It's a different game.
One title. You look at Mark Levy different. You look at Bill Parcells way different. Yep.
Totally different. And that's life.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. But Dagnall changed too quick. And that's what I got to give my man credit for, Carlisle, because look, Miles Turner was awful in the first half. 6 turnovers. So, but you hung around, you still played him 28 minutes, and he gets you 15 points and 9 rebounds and 3 blocks.
Banks the 3-2 when you're down 98-91 with 6 minutes on the wing.
So Neesmith wasn't great early on, but he hung in there, hit a big 3 down the stretch like he did versus the Knicks. 3 for 7 from 3, 10 points, 12 rebounds. Okay?
What I think
So
is making Indiana so this team is just mentally tough. This is a really tough group
yeah,
mentally.
you know what it is? There's nobody on this team that's ever been lauded over.
No,
There's nobody on this team
no.
who's ever been the man.
There's no one who's ever gotten the Curry or LeBron or James Harden treatment. Not one guy
No.
on
And
this
so
team.
they're all hungry as hell because nobody's ever been the man.
That's right.
And so while we all thought probably in the back of our head that this would hurt eventually, obviously down a stretch, Haliburton is that guy.
The only
He's
guy with
crazy.
the ring on this team is Siakam, and he's a very blue collar, under the radar guy. So
Exactly.
we don't even factor
And
him in.
so yeah, you got Thomas Bryant has a ring. He played 29 seconds for the Nuggets.
Right. And
But the
Thomas
thing
Bryant.
is,
Right. And Thomas
these
Bryant.
guys, but like this game was such as a coach, it just drive you insane because both sides have the flip flop situation in their favor. But at the end of the day, only one team wins, and that's why this is such a stressful business.
It is, yeah. It comes down to just one or two plays after all that being said.
Yeah, and then like I said, just because you win, the boards wouldn't be brought up. But and you know it's funny, Dagnall hasn't been torched media wise at all. I've listened to it all. How the
He
hell did he
hasn't.
get away with that?
He hasn't.
How did he get away with that?
I think it also has to do with that the fact that maybe the market, I have no idea, but like you said, people who analyze basketball should be killing this guy honestly tonight because
Yeah,
it did not pan out. Now, obviously, we have the luxury of Monday morning quarterbacking, but the fact of the matter is it didn't just work out not okay, it worked out horrifically for him. I mean, it cost him the game, I think, for sure.
yeah, but we can say that because you know what? We talked about their weakness on the baseline.
Yes.
And he just highlighted a weakness and he made it weaker.
God.
And meanwhile, everybody just goes and blew this team for 42 minutes on the TV broadcast. They blew this team. Yeah, they're very good defensively. I think they're great at closing out. I'd like to be there when they do their closeout drills. I'm sure there's some secrets that they have. But at the same time, they might just have quick people. And the other point of view is while you're sitting there just praising and praising, and I get it, that's their job. But at the same time, like that's a mistake to get thin on the baseline like that and get out rebounded by a team who out rebounds nobody.
It just goes to show you with how much the game has changed. It's still about what Pat Riley says: no rebounds, no title. That's
No
right.
rings.
Yep, no rings. Yep.
No rebounds, no rings. And we're not talking about rebounds either. We're not talking about her. We're talking about real rebounds.
Right. Right. Yeah, not me bounds.
Yeah, we're not talking about me bounds and rebounds.
The Thunder are up 108-99 with 2:38 left. And
Oh
Neesmith
my
is
God.
three in the corner. I mean, God, you
Oh,
just the last couple minutes, even with all that being said, Uncle Dave, they had control of the game for most of the game.
but
Even
again, you know
without
what's
getting out
funny?
rebounded that way.
You know what's funny? If I called up some of my Kings Park players, I could call or text any one of them right now as we speak. And if I just typed in, and I haven't spoken to some of them in a while, if I just typed in time and score, they would type back like LOL. Because every day I talk about time and score finishing quarters, time and score. And they would laugh. But I tell you what, this year there's been an epidemic of no time and score. None.
And I mentioned it to you too. I said with the way the game works now, with how quickly teams can come back with the 3-point shot, it should be more emphasized now more than ever, honestly.
Yeah, but they're not. They're doing it the other way. They're like, okay, let me launch it. Okay,
So
good. See you later.
here's the thing, Uncle Dave. If you're Indiana, you're thinking we should have won by more because we turned the ball over 24 times. And if you're the Thunder, you're saying we should have won by more because we got out rebounded by 17. So someone's going to
Yeah.
be proven right here in the next game.
Well, the funny thing is, yeah, everybody was talking about how they should have been up 20 at the half. It's hard to be up 20 on a team like the Pacers because they let it fly.
It is.
But at the same time, it was pretty nuts. I mean, just a great. I enjoyed it. People talked about the rating was low. The ratings have been bad. I've been pretty bad for the most part over the years,
Also,
just because
we've said on this show too before, I believe.
too many platforms.
Exactly. You have too many platforms. You have streaming now. I don't know how accurate that is now, those type of
Right, and there's too many other things to watch. When I was growing up, there was 25 channels. Right now you got this. There's 400 channels.
Yeah. I think
And
now with also Uncle Dave the Haliburton shot, I think you'll have a bigger audience for game two now, I think, honestly. After how
I just wish we'd stop talking about dynasties before you won a fucking game in the
Yeah,
finals.
we know that's insane. Yeah, we know that's
The
ridiculous.
media's out of their mind. Like, how many fucking times, excuse my French, do these assholes in the media have you seen this in your life? And we're not even in the media.
Right.
And we paid attention to it. We've seen this in every sport. We canonize teams that don't do shit.
Yeah, I know. How about even if regardless of who wins this title here, it doesn't matter. You can't be saying that about either team. It's just ridiculous.
No, because you're an ankle away.
It's like you talked about it with the Celtics. You're like, oh, we have another Celtics dynasty here. That shit might be over now. That could be
Yeah,
over.
they're an ankle away.
That could be over. You don't know how Tatum comes back from that. No, I know that with how now these surgeries go, guys can bounce back from those type of injuries, but you don't know. Everybody's different. He might not be the same player ever again. Who knows?
That's what
Jalen Brown,
drives you crazy.
Jalen Brown might get hurt or
2015
banged up.
Kentucky Wildcats, best
Yeah,
ever.
yeah,
2015 Kentucky Wildcats. They're guards. Neither of them is in the pros. Go fuck yourself. Don't tell me they're the best team ever. Get the
yeah.
fuck out of here.
Right. No title.
2015. Name the high draft pick guard. Booker was a great player, but he's the starting backcourt didn't even make the pros.
No.
Jesus Christ, give me a break.
The Andrew Nimhard shot that people are talking about there with the isolation on the dribble there with
Sure,
the step back. What a shot
that's
that
not
was.
unusual for him.
Yes, exactly. That was a huge shot right there.
But
And
I
then,
give him credit for his floor game.
yes.
I give him a lot of credit for his floor game. He had 6 assists. All right, he had 3 rebounds. He had a couple of steals. I mean, he did a good job. I mean, he's a good player.
And,
They tried to exploit Haliburton. That's the one thing I give
well, you've been
OKC
talking
credit
about
for.
that with people who've been playing the Pacers that you've not thought teams have tried to go after that matchup and exploit that.
Well,
Make
the other night
make
they kept
defense.
playing pick and roll with him and getting him in that matchup. I thought Bridges did exploit it number wise, but they didn't give it to Bridges enough. Bridges, a couple of games in that Knicks series, went 6 for 9.
Yeah, he did.
Well,
And
he's
he
got
was the guy
Haliburton
too.
on
He
him.
he would have a great shooting percentage, and he wouldn't like. Why does this guy not take more shots?
Well, they got to isolate this some bitch and make him take
Yeah,
20 shots.
right, right.
Like I had one time, I had a kid a couple of years ago. He played for St. Joe's, Justin Turner. And he shot 6 for 7 in a game one time, and
Yeah,
someone in his family, when he played, agreed to go, no, he didn't. He should have been, freaking 12 for 21.
exactly. Right,
He should have
exactly.
been 18 for 21 instead of six
Exactly.
for seven.
No, you see that unless it's a guy that's a lob catcher or a guy like Hartenstein who's
Ah,
shooting.
he's my best player. I'm like, dude, what are you doing 6 for
Yeah,
7? I'm not
exactly.
congratulating you on that
Exactly. A
shit.
guy, a guy who has offensive ability should never have that shooting line. Yep, it's true.
6 for 7. I'm my
Yeah.
best player. 6 for 7.
I think a
Should be
play in this game that it's gonna be just overlooked for the whole series is Pascal Siakam with the Nemhard takes a three. They're down three with less than a minute left, and he's right underneath the basket to scoop it up and put it in. I mean, that's a game-winning
Yep.
play right there from Pascal.
Yeah.
Like, it's just right
Yeah.
place, right time. He just always seems to be right there. Because if
Yeah.
you're the Thunder, you get that rebound up three with 50 seconds left. You feel like, all right, you get a bucket there. That might be it. But
Yeah.
God, and also like you said, the Shea shot. I mean, that was a great shot right there that he had. He had a great look.
It's a good look for him.
Um,
Yep.
and what do you think, Uncle Dave, with the last possession with the Pacers? I think they had did they have a timeout with
Yep, they
5
did.
seconds left? What are you a fan of if you have your best player with the ball in his hands, letting him go or calling a timeout there?
I've won and lost both ways.
Right. Yes, I believe you mentioned that on this show with that. Yeah.
Uh, Johnny Lee, we called the timeout versus West Bab. We drew up a play. We got an open look in the corner, but he wasn't the one who got to take it. He had to pass it. Versus Connecticut in a playoff game, I got Johnny Lee with the ball with 8 seconds left. We're down 2. He comes down. He pulls up 5 feet behind the line, drains a 3. We win the game.
Right. Yeah, I
Best
think that's
players got
just
the ball in their hand. I
I'm
let
a
him go.
I'm a fan of this. If you got your best player with the ball in his hands, unless you get in a situation where you get jammed up on the baseline, you have a situation where it's not looking favorable, then you call a timeout at the last second. But otherwise,
Oh,
I agree with
sure.
you. You let him go.
Well, if I got my best player with the ball and he's going downhill,
Yes,
uh,
you let it
I
rock.
let him go. And
Yeah.
Haliburton was going forward. So for me, I let him make a play and I'll fan out. But at the same time, I've won and lost both ways. So I can't say it's foolproof. I just can't.
Yeah, you have to
But
figure
I'd like to let him go if it's my best guy.
you figure the Thunder, if they're in that situation again, they probably send the late double team there at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I
We
will
got
say
home.
this. It was a great shot by Halliburton too. I mean, he shot was
Good
contested.
defense.
It was great defense actually. He just
Yep.
rises up and makes a terrific shot.
Yep.
And he's in the mindset now, this guy, where if he has the ball late, he's thinking that he's making the play now for you. I mean, he's scary now in these late game situations
Yeah,
now.
he's in that range now where
He's just
in
in
the
that
in the
mode
game,
now.
yeah, in the game situations in the huddle, I'm talking about when he gets it under 10 seconds, we go 2 guys.
Oh God, no, you have to now. You have to make even. I know guys like Neesmith and Siakam have played big, but you have to make someone else, I think, make a shot now at this point.
We
He's
do.
just
Like
he's
like
in sicko
you know,
mode. This guy now.
that's where the Utah Jazz made so many mistakes with the Bulls way back in
Right,
Jordan's run, the second three-peat.
right,
The one game they made Kerr beat him and he did. The one game they made Kerr beat him and he didn't. And then they let him isolate again. And, he did beat him again. You got to run a second guy. And I love Jerry Sloan, one of my favorite coaches of all time. But at the same time, you can never let that guy beat you. You got to do
right.
something. I don't care.
So what do you think, Uncle Dave, for game two? What do you think the adjustments have to be for both
Well,
teams?
I got to put Hartenstein back in the lineup. And then if I'm Rick Carlisle, I got to anticipate that I'm going to need my zone eventually at some point here because, again, we want to direct the ball where it's going. And I don't think Lou Dort's going 5 for 10. And again, it depends how you feel. Rick Carlisle's got to be careful. He's got to think to himself, well, he went 5 for 10 and I still won. But at the same time, he's no way, I guarantee he's not going 5 for 10 again. If he 5 for 9, and if he does, that'd be really shocking. But you got to still make Lou Dort make that shot, and you make Jalen Williams 1 for 4. Alex, it's so amazing. We talked about those two guys on this show had to hit threes, and they both hit 1 3 and they lost.
Right, exactly.
And then we talked about how thin they were in the baseline, and they got the crap kicked out of them on the board because they went thinner.
And the thing
Crazy.
too, if you're the Thunder, you need Chet to maybe hit a 3-point shot for you or two, and he doesn't make any. So it's
No, you're right.
between
Yeah, he
those
goes 0
three
for 1 from
guys.
three.
Between those
Yep.
three guys, you only have two 3-point shots. That ain't gonna cut
Well, I
it.
would have liked to have seen more, and maybe Indiana's taking it away better. I would have liked to have seen more is them getting downhill and getting some lobs for Chet. If you're the Thunder, when Shea gets downhill like that, I guess the Pacers are staying at home. It might be a conscious choice. We're not in their locker room. Rather than maybe they're consciously choosing to let Shea try to get his instead of getting Chet involved or somebody else involved. The only thing is people are complaining that Shea only got 8 free throws. He still got 8 free throws.
Yeah.
But the thing is, maybe they're consciously making other guys beat you. And they're
Because
going to let Shea get his.
I think in the front, out of all the front court players, I think Chet Holmgren is the most athletic out of all the guys
Oh
on
God,
both
yeah.
teams.
Oh my God,
So
he's a freak.
he,
Plus, if
Siakam,
you
I like
post
him,
him
but
up, he's
he's
tough.
not, yeah, exactly. He's not as athletic as Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren's a
No.
freak with his length and his ability to run up and down the floor. You need him
Yep.
to just, I think you need him to play bigger, obviously. That's what's staggering to me is that and the rebounding right there. Jalen
Well, the
Williams,
kid,
I think I'm going to bank on that he's going to play better than what he did game one. I'm thinking he's going
sure,
to bounce back game. But
sure,
Chet
but
and the rebounding, that to me is the standing out thing right there.
but here's the problem though. How do you not get Chet facing the basket? Because we saw in the last series that Turner and Siakam gave up drives to Karl Anthony Towns going right. Now, Chet Holmgren's a much better driver to the basket than Karl Anthony Towns, in my opinion. Chet Holmgren, when he faces up, is really good. He's like a guard.
He is,
But at
yeah.
the same time, if you don't get him the ball in those places on the left baseline or the right baseline, I mean, all right, the wing, it's too much time and it's too much help there after the second and third dribble. But if you get him, a reverse pivot face up on the left baseline, throw 13 feet from the basket on either side of the right baseline, he's going to do it.
Right, right.
Not
And
only if
especially
you
if he,
put Siakam on him, he goes over him.
right, right. Especially if he has his outside shotgun. If he's able to hit a couple of them, then I mean, I think they're
Yeah,
really tough to beat. I think they go as kind of how he goes. I've mentioned that before on this show with him. I think if he
sure.
plays big, I feel like they're a different animal for sure.
Yeah. I mean, but my point again, though, is Chet, 23 minutes, Isaiah, 17. It's not enough. It's not enough minutes. I don't agree with it at all. Chet, if you want to hold him at 30 minutes because he's struggling, but first play of the game tomorrow, I'm isolating him with a reverse pivot on like the left baseline or the right baseline, and I'll put Jalen Williams on the strong side wing of that and see if we can get these guys in a little 2-man game going, see if we can get them going early.
My
But
God.
I think it was just, I think it was just to wave the flag in a strange situation there. I was like, wait a second, that's very strange to start a different lineup here. Very strange.
Yeah, between that and Indiana turning the ball over 25 times, trailing by 15 in the fourth quarter and winning. I mean, just some very peculiar things in this game. I mean,
Bizarre.
that stands out in the lineup change right there. Like you said, a very, very peculiar game. You're never going to see that again for sure. So that's
No, just bizarre. There's been so many games over the years where you just see bizarre numbers and situations. And you say to yourself, I don't know how the hell it happens, but that happened tonight. That's just incredible that you see a team with that many turnovers. But again, points conceded off the turnovers. Only 11 points in transition for the Thunder off those turnovers.
yeah, 14 steals for the Thunder. You figure if you would have told me that the Thunder had 14 steals in game one,
You're going to get
I would have
14
said
transition points easy.
I would have said it's a guarantee that they win that game then. You know?
Comfortably.
Yeah, exactly. It's an easy win for them. 14, I would have said of Indiana. I mean, that's steals, by the way. That's not turnovers. That's just them stealing the ball in the open court. That's not on top of the turnovers that they would have committed to Indiana. I would have said easily they win the game. And for them,
Looking back in transition after those steals, a couple of times they did pull it out. I remember that they did pull it out to when it felt like they were pulling it out more than not. So that's a little strange for them. I think they're a team that generally goes to the rack, but at the same time, just maybe they just weren't feeling it. But again, we can again we got the flip flops. We can say all we want. This team is sitting there up 15 with all these problems. They're up 15.
Yeah. The the thing that stands out is you have the 14 steals and you only have 11 points off turnovers. That right there is staggering. You have 14
Yeah,
steals and you only have 11 points to show for it. That
yeah.
right
You
there
should at least have 14 points. You figure half
exactly.
the steals you're going to get out,
Right, exactly. Because you know how
especially when a lot of them were in the middle of the course.
yeah, you've always talked about it. I'd rather have a dead ball turnover over a live ball turnover any day of the week. It's not even close.
Yeah, yeah. But these guys had steals, like you said. You get 14 steals, you figure seven of them are turning into baskets.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the Thunder, with them being up 15 points in the fourth quarter, they look very loose, but it just feels like there's just something now with this Pacers team. Now there's just some divine intervention here, some magic going with this group here to pull a
Well,
game
it
out of your
does.
ass like that. Now, I mean, game two, if you have to win game two now because Indiana, they're going to be juiced for game three. So the Thunder, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to win this one. So they have to play with some controlled desperation here. But teams usually do win these games when they have to. So it's going to be very
Sure.
interesting to see the Pacers mentality. And
Yeah.
but again though, how many situations they've been in? I think this now with two series in a row now, right? Between the Cavaliers and the Knicks, with them having this situation where they won the first game and they're looking for blood by winning the next one, being up 2-0 going back to Indiana.
Yeah.
I'm going to be curious to see how this one goes. It's
Well,
just
don't forget
fascinating.
they stole the game late versus the Bucks too.
Yes, yeah, yeah, against Milwaukee. That seems like so long ago now.
Yeah, well, it is because these playoffs start in April, and
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that was a game
But
they
they go by
stalled too.
fast though. That's the thing. It seems like yesterday too at the same time. So it
Sure.
could be
Yeah,
both.
we've been at this since January. We talk about pro basketball since January
Yeah, but
and college.
to me, just to wrap it up, Chet Holmgren, I'm looking at. That's my number one guy for the Thunder. I'm going to be looking at and the rebounds now because Coach Degenol, you got to bring out the stat sheet here in the box score and say, hey, we cannot concede 17 rebounds to these guys. And if you're Indiana, like you said, they're on the flip side of the coin now for once with them not being with them being out rebounding their opposition. I can't
Well,
believe that. So, but Obi Toppin, though, like you said, well, that's another guy that just stands out for me. 6 of 9. If you're the Thunder, you're like, man, I don't know if he's going to go 6 for 9. But like you said, the Pacers are going to say, hey, Lou Dort's not going to go 5 of 10.
yeah. Well, supposedly I was thinking about this. It's only been really three teams in history that score as many points as the Pacers, and yet never had a guy average 22 points. One of them was those great Lakers teams. Another one was the 60s Boston team, which
Pace,
I'm not even
pace,
old enough to see.
the Pacers spread the wealth.
Yep. And so, but my thing is, which one's more likely to happen again? That big turnover margin tomorrow or that big rebound margin? So you have to ask
I'm going to
yourself,
say
which one's more
the,
likely?
the rebound margin. I would say is more likely. That's my guess than the
Because
turnover.
that's the one that's weird. If he doesn't go back to that lineup, I got to go back to Hardenstein.
Yeah, I
I
just
mean, I know
don't.
you want to get cute and all, and if you pulled that off, everybody be blowing you. But at the same time,
I just
it
don't
didn't.
see Turner and Neesmith turning the ball over 6 and 5 times each.
Yeah, well, Pascal had a rough day with that too. I mean, what they did was they kept turning it over in traffic. Their hands are very quick.
They are.
I think
Put it
that
in the
the
middle of the floor on
turnovers.
these guys. They can poke it away and be out running.
Actually, no, Neesmith had the five turnovers. You're right, but to
Yeah.
me, like, I feel like they did force a couple of passes, like a second late. But yeah, Turner kept bringing it down. I just feel like that turnover thing. I could see a lot of turnovers again because Indiana does play fast, and OKC is, I think, the easier one to change is the rebounds for OKC. All they got to do is make a lineup change.
And I think the 3-point game for Indiana, they had it really going, 18 to 39. I think that'll be a little lower, I feel like, in game two. With the Thunder,
Yeah,
it's very rare for them to give up that kind of shooting percentage at home from
yeah.
outside. So I think I tell you what, I like the Thunder by at least like 10 or 15 tomorrow. I really do. I have a strong feeling they're winning this second game here. I picked the Thunder in 6. I think they'll win this game tonight, and then game three is the first round of the rubber match where it's going to determine very, very drastically what's going to happen then maybe the next few games after that. But I like the Thunder a lot in this game because I feel like you go down 2-0 against this Indiana team. this team is just on such a roll and on such a high. I don't know if you can come back from that one.
I think they're like 8-2 on the road
This
in
is
the
just
playoffs.
this is just we texted the other night. This is just a special group. I feel like this Pacers team.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
just something about it. Like I said, it's funny too because Coach Carlisle, the 2011 Mavericks team, had a very similar feeling. Just a very magical performance that year. Not to sound too savvy, but they beat the Lakers, the defending champs. They beat the Blazers, who at that time were a very good team. You remember with
Yep.
Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge and Andre Miller,
Yep.
were a very good team. Then they beat the Thunder with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. I mean, Dirk was just on an unbelievable. That team was just a very inspirational team. And then they beat obviously the Heat. What
And
a
Jason Terry was so good. Oh my
yeah,
God. I
and
loved him.
the Jet, and it was watching.
One of my favorite underrated players. Him and
I
Sean
saw
Marion.
I
Hall
saw
of Fame, Hall of
I
Famers.
saw clips from that series, and people were saying how much different the game was. Guys were actually spotting up in the short corner. Guys were running off pin downs, across across the lane and everything like that. You had guys playing outside in, inside out, just very
Yeah.
different. The game, it wasn't all just 3-point shots and drives to the basket for a layup. It was a
Sure.
lot
That
more.
was mid range.
Yeah, the game was a lot more complex, I think, actually. This is very much diluted, I think, compared to how the game used to be played, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's
Some ways.
again, we've talked about this way
More
back when
narrow,
we first started.
more narrow-minded, I think, the game kind of now with compared to how it used to be. There's
Well,
used to
the
be
one thing too is
used
like
to attack the whole floor.
I can think of many guys who would be better today, and I can think of many guys who'd be worse today.
Right.
So a guy like Christian Laettner would flourish today.
Yes. And guys like Charles Oakley
Because
and Anthony Mason couldn't play today.
yeah, exactly. They would be backups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't carry that many guys on a roster.
No, you wouldn't. But a guy like Laettner would play very well today. A
Oh,
guy like
Like Christian Leitner as a stretch five now would be unbelievable.
yeah, a guy like But my point is though,
Raja even would be better today than he was.
oh yeah,
He was an
if you
excellent
want
player.
to run if you want to run switches on Michael Jordan and go under screens, he's getting 50.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to run a switch and Mike sees like some
Yeah.
center on him, that
Yeah.
shit's over.
Forget it. Or
He
even
sees
Larry
he
Bird,
sees
Uncle Dave. Larry Bird would play stretch four today now.
you see one of these guys switching on you who's like an anorexia patient from Ethiopia, you're gonna go dunk on his head. These
Yeah.
centers today like have no bodies.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine like Joel Embiid, that foot speed against a guy like him, or Dominique
You know,
Wilkins
Chet
or Clyde
Holmgren
Drexler?
switches
Oh, no.
out on Mike after the screen.
Yeah. No, he's a joke.
That's not
No.
working.
Yeah. Defensively, it's a shell of kind of what it used to be, I
Like I
think.
was arguing with some LeBron fan the other day. He's like, well, Mike would only average 20 today. I said, yeah, but he's 61 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. At his current age right now, that's just an idiot, obviously saying that. My God,
I said he's 61 years old.
the guys that were the great scorers then would be even better scorers today.
Oh, God,
That's
because the
just the
game has
bottom
more
line. Yeah,
possessions.
that's just the bottom line. And the guys that were kind of viewed as maybe not physically tough enough then maybe would also be better in today's time. Like you said, Christian
And I
Laettner.
would say this too. If you were playing with Shaq today, you'd play more zone. You'd when Shaq on
Exactly.
defense, you'd want him to stay out
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
Because on offense, no one could stop him.
No, that's the thing. He would average just as many as he did back then. He would still be a wrecking
Well,
ball.
he'd even get more. His field goal
Yeah,
percentage would go up.
exactly right. Exactly right. Yep. Yeah, he would average more for sure because
But
there's
then
no
you'd have to play more zone with him.
right, because there used to be guys that were designated to be Shaq hackers on every team. They had a backup Shaq
Yep.
hacker on
Yep.
every team. Now you don't have that. Like you said, now it's so bad, Uncle Dave, now where some teams don't even have a rim protector. It used to be for the long
No.
time, teams had at least a rim protector if they did not have a skilled center offensively. Now you don't even have teams that have rim protectors even there.
Well, that's why it drove me crazy because, and again,
The
I give
Warriors this year, Uncle Dave, went with Draymond at the five.
yeah,
Come on.
I give anybody that wins 68 games obviously a ton of credit. All
Of
I'm
course.
saying is to say like they're an all-time great team. If you want to do that and have
Got to win a
matchups out
championship.
there,
Got to win a championship. Got to
but
win
even
this.
if you win a championship, you have no baseline. I don't care if they won 68 games. This team has no baseline.
Oh yeah,
Again,
I'm not putting them as an all-time great team though.
yeah, Hartenstein's not blocking a shot. Those 2011 Heat team would kill this fucking
Yeah,
team.
they would. They would. They would.
They
LeBron
would kill
going
them.
crack on these guys, he would get 50.
Yeah, exactly. What's he gonna do? Like, who's stopping Wade?
Right.
He's
And
dealing
Chris
with
Bosh.
Bosh.
Yeah, I know. For God, it would be a blowout. Yeah. I mean, those
Yeah,
guys
so
go
for
into the
me,
rack. I mean, then you have to understand the toughness. A guy like Brendan Haywood was not a great player, but he was a tough player. Tyson
yeah,
Chandler. You had really some guys that were monsters inside and really protecting the
yeah,
paint. You don't have that now.
yeah. So for me, like, again, they have one of the best records of all time. I think it's top five, 68 wins is a great thing. But that doesn't mean that means that you really bought in and you played really hard all season long, which again, the playoffs it evens out because no one plays hard anymore. So it totally goes the other way. So, and that's why you can also exploit guys in the playoffs that, like I said, you don't get exploited during the season. You have 7 games, you have 2 weeks to work on somebody. That's why Luca last year was the worst defender I've ever seen in the playoff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was embarrassing.
I think also with being in a 7 game series, there's very few coaches that are out dueling Coach Carlisle. So Coach Deganol
No.
definitely has his hands full that way. Coach Carlisle is an
Yeah.
excellent
And I
coach.
think he got too cute. He didn't even have to do it yet, and he did it.
That's
When
where
you're the
you
favorite,
said
when
you're
you're the
outthinking
favorite, you
yourself.
got to adjust to me. I don't got to
Exactly,
adjust to you.
exactly, exactly. Yeah.
The Lakers didn't go, hey, let's pull it out. Let's not
Right,
run. Let's not run out Lake a fast break.
right.
Magic didn't go, you know what? Let's pull it out. No, let's run.
Well, that's I think going to be the interesting thing now, Uncle Dave. Does he stick with that change now, or does he go back to how he was doing it all along? I don't know
Got
now.
to go Hardenstein. You got to do it. Unless you're really a stubborn asshole. There's
Right.
no way you can do that.
I
It
think
didn't work. You got cute. It didn't work. Acknowledge it and move on.
I think also you maybe you move a guy like Chet to the bench, maybe and coming off the bench, maybe that loosens him up a bit too offensively. I don't know.
First couple of possessions, I got to go to Chet in the short corner. Let him
Yeah,
do some work.
yeah,
Let him do some work.
yeah. I think I want to see the first 5 plays they run a couple for him and try to get him going. I think,
Yeah.
and
Or
yeah,
get Shea downhill and see
we
if they
need
help.
we need more than 6 points and more than 2 foul shots from Chet though. That's the staggering thing.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams, I'm not worried about. 19 shots, he's gonna put him up again. He'll play better. He'll probably be he'll make 3 or 4 more than what he did.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's going to make more, and Lou Dort's going to make less.
Exactly, exactly right. Yeah, so it's going to be again, these games are going to come down to the last handful of possessions like they always normally do. It seems like 15 points, 20-point leads in the fourth quarter. We've seen that erode, so you're never safe unless it's under 2 minutes. I feel like and you got close to a 20-point lead. Just it's incredible now with the pace and the shooting now how it is in the NBA.
Sure.
It's never safe now.
No, never safe.
But all right, yeah. So I guess we'll wrap it up there, Uncle Dave. It's going to be game
Sure.
2 tomorrow night. Obviously, we're going to be our eyes are going to be glued to that because my God, like I said, this game 1 was so bizarre and peculiar. You're
Yeah.
going to have to see what's going to be the median in this series. What's going to be the thing that's determining this? It's really hard to tell because you're like, all right, we don't think there's going to be a 17 rebound difference, and you're not going to have a difference of what was it, 25 turnovers versus 6. So
Sure.
something's going to shake. Something's going to have to give there because I don't see that happening again.
No, me neither.
Because, I mean, how many times, Uncle Dave, has there been a game? I want to see that stat where you've won the turnover battle by 18 and you've lost the game.
That's one of those things that you kind of have to look
It's
that
got
up.
to be like a 95 win percentage, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
has to be.
Well, that's why during the game, the one thing I don't mind them putting on the screen too much is your percentage chance of winning because that
I
stat
love
is
that.
kind of
Yeah.
cool.
I love that. Yeah. And I've seen
But
too
we've
many
seen some
95.
crazy shit
Yeah.
this year.
I've seen too many 99 percentages wind up losing. So it's like, that's why I
We've
guess
seen crazy shit this year, though.
we have. We certainly have. Yeah. I mean,
We've seen wild shit.
the Knicks this year winning 3 games down 20 on the road. I mean that might be never broken. I think that stat right there. That's insane.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then you have this game here. Like I said, Indiana did not lead the whole game except until the point 3 seconds left in the game. That's
Yeah.
that's that's probably another one that's probably hard to have been broken.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's been a lot of finals games that have been hit with shots at point three, but I don't know if that was the first
Yeah,
time
but
they've
that
led.
was the first time they had a lead. I mean, I don't remember that ever happening. It might have, but
No,
I can't recall off memory here.
no, me neither. I
But
mean, I've seen teams not win, not be leading to the end, but not with point three on the clock.
And I will say both benches, evenly scored, so they kind of canceled each other out scoring wise, and it looks like production wise, turnover wise. So it's
Hmm.
not the benches weren't the determining factor. The rebounding and the turnover, obviously, it was the battle of that.
Yeah. Well, the shooting, they shot 39%. That's pretty bad for a game. Yeah, team
Yes.
shot 46%. You're not winning that way.
That's the other thing too. How do you shoot 8 percentage points better and you only win by 1 point? Well, that goes
Well,
back to the turnovers then.
yep, yep. You got 18 less shots and 3 less free throws.
And the turnover and the free throw battle, it was pretty much even right there. Indiana shoots
Yep,
21 to the Thunder's 24, so that was about even right there.
yep.
My Lord. But and it
The
wasn't
best thing about it was no one was in deep foul trouble either.
yes. Yes, the foul trouble
I
was
hate when the refs put their imprint on a series like that.
yes. The one who had the most fouls was Caruso with 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I like when guys don't put their imprint on the series and you get a starter
The
with
funny
two
thing is,
fouls in
Uncle
the
Dave,
first
with the
minute.
rebounding differential, the Pacers had 13 offensive rebounds to the Thunder's 10. So it was defensive rebounds that the Pacers killed the Thunder in 43 to 29.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you remember, the Thunder in the first half had several possessions with 3 shots.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Where they let them have a million shots at it, right?
Yeah, but they weren't hitting. It's weird. They could have been up 20. You're right. Tough situation, but this game was a game. It's just an
Yeah, it's a
anomaly with the
freaking anomaly.
statistics.
Yep. Yep.
The show was disgusting. It was a great game, but it was a disgusting anomaly. So from a coaching standpoint, you're just shaking your head all night.
Right. Well, we'll see if what kind of egregious or maybe it'll be a beautiful game tomorrow night. We have no idea. We'll see what happens. Maybe, game ones
Well,
are they're so different. You don't know what the other team's going to come out and you're just kind of you're
well,
projecting.
everybody reacts. And like I said, we've seen this before. We've seen this movie a lot. So, game one is great, but it's just as important as every other game. Tomorrow night, I'm hoping the game starts a little earlier, but I really enjoyed this game. I'm enjoying the fact that there's no Steph, no LeBron, no KD. I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, the storyline is great either way. So it's going to be it's fun watching this so far. Definitely
Yeah, I'm
game.
enjoying the fact that we have
Yeah, it's just
good
basketball.
teams,
Yeah.
good teams with good players. This reminds me of like some of those, some of those early night, like I should say like late '90s and like late '70s teams where you get one or two pretty good players, and then you get like you get a tough set. Well, Jordan dominated, but it's early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe. Like Kobe was so young, but like Shaq was a freaking stud. But like you get some of these teams like in the '70s where you had Bill Walton and some good role players. That's probably way past most of our fans, but if you go look it up, you'll see that. You had Mo Lucas, Bobby Gross, obviously had some good players. Paxson, John Paxson, not Jim. No, not Jimmy Paxson, not John. And then, of course, you had those other teams where, the Sonics had Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson. The Bullets had, Hayes and Wes Unseld and
Yeah,
Green,
that also in
Kevin
a
Beebe.
couple finals in the early mid 2000s, like when you had the Nets and the Pistons. I mean, the Nets and the Spurs and the Pistons
Yeah.
and the Spurs. You had those kind
Yep.
of
Yep.
finals right there where the
Yeah, it's
Pistons.
some teams with some like, good teams, like good solid teams, which I appreciate.
Yes.
Although those net teams, Jason Kidd just pushed them to the finals.
Well, yeah, we'll eventually get into that of how good it
The
got.
real fun of those teams, though, is if you go back, you want to have some fun, go back on YouTube and watch the games that they and the Celtics had.
Yeah, they had
There were
some
some great games. Antoine Walker and the boys,
young Paul Pierce.
young Paul Pierce, they had a great series there, and it was really good. Little young Tayshaun Prince, they had some great stuff, and Tayshaun Prince makes one of the best blocks of all time in a game I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
I was against Reggie Miller. Yeah.
yep. I mean, just some great games, and even the Celtics, the Pistons, and the Nets had some great games back then as they were all fighting for like who had the first chance to lose to the Lakers. And it was some good basketball back then. The Pacers back then weren't giving up either because it was the post Jordan era, pre LeBron. It's like that 5 year gap there where everybody's trying to fight to get a piece of the action. And it was some good stuff. It was some good basketball. And nobody was going to beat the Lakers anyway or the Spurs because the West was very much better back then. But it's there's some good teams back then to watch. Good games. Go on YouTube, check them out.
Yeah, there's a whole like library you could find them. Uh,
Oh,
it's
so
great.
much
Yeah,
good stuff. I watch
great.
so much stuff on YouTube now. I can find any game I want.
That's great. So, folks, game one, the Pacers wind up taking 111 to 110. We're going to see what happens tomorrow night, Sunday, for game two. And we'll definitely, nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter, be talking about that game too. So, all
Oh
you
yeah.
basketball fans out there, live long and prosper. May the force be with you and enjoy game two tomorrow night.